Hi, this is Nora, and these are Thoughts from a Rooftop. Hey, what's up? Thanks for listening to the second episode of this podcast. I actually continued recording right after the first episode, as I was so into it, and I just wanted to keep talking about them. So this is me. I just pressed pause on the other episode, and I'm continuing now. But this will come out a week apart from the other one. Okay, so we were talking about their musical career and why I think they mean so much to me and other people. And today, as I said, we are going to be talking about the members and how I found my bias and why he is my bias. So it took me a while to find it, to find my bias. The one that attracted me the most in the beginning was JK, because physically and his voice and the way he acts and stuff, like he has that cocky way of being when he's on stage. It attracted me a lot, but as I got more into them, even though I still loved his personality and stuff, when I watched the music video for Save Me, my favorite BTS MV ever, I fell in love with Min Yoongi. His verse in that song to me is one of my favorite verses from him. And a quick mention, his hair. Oh my god, his hair at that era is beautiful. So yeah, I obviously have an incredible soft and not so soft spot for each one of them in my heart. But Min Yoongi is my bias, and I was gonna say my bias records as well, but all of them are my bias records, and every single day one of them wrecks me. So I'm not trying to just say one because that would be unrealistic to my actual reality. So I want to go through each member and share something about them to maybe share with you why each one of them is so important to me. This was very improvised when I first recorded it, so I will try to keep it as loyal to that first recording as it's what first popped into my head, which I feel fine. That is the realest thing I could be saying about them. So I will go oldest to youngest, leaving Yoongi to the end as he's my bias, and I want to dive a bit deeper into him. So number one, Mr. Jin. I find him, first of all, the funniest human on earth. He's so funny. And then on the more serious note, I find him very, very determined. And I think that whenever he puts his mind to something, he works as hard as he can to achieve it, and I think that's very inspiring. Also, I find his voice very, very, very powerful, and it always gives me like goosebumps. Especially his live vocals, they are so good. I also think that he's kind of a uniting member in BTS. Like, he connects them, and I feel like he grounds them a lot. And I don't know, he felt like he works as a lace that entangles all of them together. I don't know, it's my feeling from him. Okay, number two, Hoseok. I think that he's one of those people who would rather pretend to be happy when they aren't, to make someone else happy, than share their actual feelings. I feel like he's a huge pillar to the others, and he tries to live to his name and to his own expectations. I also think he's very, very, very much a perfectionist, maybe a bit too much, and he's very, very, very a hard worker, and I don't know, I find him so inspiring, and he helps me try to look at life in a more positive light. Also, next is Namjoon, and even though he is not my bias because Yoongi just came and stole my heart, I appreciate him so freaking much. I find him so wise, way beyond his ears, and his mind, I don't know, it's so wonderful and beautiful, and I find his moral compass very, very, very incredible, and what he's trying to bring to this planet is just so meaningful to me. Also, His mixtape lately, I've been very, very like obsessed with it. I've been listening to it a lot. I read all of his lyrics, and many of them are like very deep and resonate with me a lot. And then I know many people say that mono is very depressing or stuff, but I actually feel it's very calming, and it helps you like ground yourself and just get lost in music, which is what I look for in music. And then I also wanted to mention his speech in the United Nations, which I don't know if he completely wrote it or he got help from anyone, but I think he presented it and just talked in a very, very eloquent and beautiful way. And what he was representing there, and all of them, like all of BTS, what they were representing, is very good, cool, and very, I don't know, very important to me. I just love him. He's the best leader ever, and he's such an incredible person. Okay, next is Jimin. I feel like I relate to him a lot in the sense that we're both very, very much perfectionists. He seems to me, just like I am, one of those people who is way harsher to himself than to others. Like he's so kind and compassionate and empathetic towards others, but you can tell that he's very, very like hard and like he expects a lot from himself. And seeing him be so hard on himself kind of helps me see when I do it to myself, when I'm being too rough and too like when I'm expecting too much from myself. I also find his dancing so incredible. Like his classical training tends to come through with their choreographies and gives him a very unique way of pulling the choreographies through, and it's a very beautiful combination. I think he has like the biggest heart out there. I don't know, he's so good. Okay, then Taeyang. I find him a very introspective person. Like you can tell him he thinks a lot, and his mind sometimes wanders off to other places when he's supposed to be somewhere. I just find him very thoughtful and intelligent, in my opinion. I also think, my personal opinion, his voice is my favorite voice in BTS. Not because the others like are any worse or any better. It's just my personal taste. I think it's so deep and soulful and different, and especially in the K-pop industry where higher pitched voices are more praised than lower range ones. I find it that it comes through a lot, and I don't know, it makes me feel so much, his voice. I don't know. Okay, then the Lil Maknae JK. As I said before, in the superficial point, which I don't want to be the main one, but if I didn't mention it, I would be being fake, because that was something that came in my head. Is that I find him one of the hottest humans on this planet. Okay. On the other side, I find adorable how shy and introverted he is. And even though he has gotten so much better with his with his members, and in some situations he's way more comfortable, I still think that he has that shyness inside of him, and it sometimes comes through, and it's so adorable. I also think, as his nickname says, Golden Maknae, he's a very perfectly well-rounded person. And I don't think it's only because of his natural talents, which obviously helps, because he has a lot of natural talents. I also think that he has a huge determination inside of him, just as Jin does, and his strong will get him to wherever he wants to get. Like he practices until he perfects whatever he wants to perfect, and then he just becomes perfect at everything. And then he reminds me, in this sense, he reminds me a lot of my mom, and it's something that I admire from her a lot. So I admire it from him a lot, and I would like to try to resemble him in a way when it comes to that. So as I said, I absolutely love all of them, but I have a very soft spot for the rap line. And I think that it's greatly influenced because of their involvement in the production and writing of their songs. and because of their mixtapes, as I feel like it helped them open up to us in a way that maybe the others did not have the possibility to as much, because mixtapes are like very personal and yeah. And I hope the other members also release mixtapes and we can see another side or understand them a bit more. Yeah. So I wanted to dive into Min Yoongi a bit more, as he's my bias, and even though I love all of them enormously and like they have such a huge place in my heart, I also wanted to praise Yoongi a bit more and explain why he is my bias. So Min Yoongi, Suga or August D or Lil Meow Meow, whatever you want to call him, is in the rap and in the Hyang line, which are the older ones. And he comes from Daegu and is very proud of coming from there. And he's very tiny and adorable and he has a cute gummy smile. And even though many people think that he's very cold or rude or something, from what I've gathered, I don't agree at all. I think he is very introverted and doesn't talk when he doesn't think like he has to. Like he just doesn't waste his energy on things he doesn't find necessary to be spending energy on. I also think he's a very, very sensitive person and he cares like crazy about the people he loves. Like his members from what we've seen, but I feel like he also does with other people he loves. I also find his humor hilarious. Like whenever he does it, like decides to open his mouth and let out some of his humor, it's just so funny. I also would like to debunk the stereotype of him being lazy or sleeping a lot, because I actually think it's quite the opposite. I think he's a workaholic and sleeps very little, and as he works so much, I feel like whenever he has a second to sleep, he just uses it as he's probably sleep deprived. I don't know if he still is, but I just think he either used to be, has been for a long time, or still is. Like I just think he works so much. Yeah, like, and I'm not only saying this because of my personal opinion. His members have said it in several interviews, or just in Bangtan Moms, or I don't know, in other moments, how he is always working, and he sometimes stays in his studio until very late. So yeah, I think he's so strong, and he deserves everything he has and more. And yeah, I love how he's openly talked about his mental health and dealing with social anxiety and depression. And I know other people do it and other K-pop idols maybe do, but I think it's very brave to talk about mental health, as it's very taboo in our society and even more in Korea, especially in the K-pop industry, where idols are portrayed as these perfect human beings who are always happy. And I feel like BTS is very good at showing part of their negative sides as well as not only the happy ones. And they are not always trying to be perfect. They sometimes try to come through as more humane. He comes from the underground scene, just as Namjoon and Hobi does, and him and RM got a lot of criticism in the beginning from other underground rappers. If you want to watch an interview in which RM and Yoongi talked about their, when they first debuted, they talked with other underground rappers, which I'm not going to name because I don't want to give them clout, as they don't deserve it. I'm going to link it in the description. But be aware, it's very annoying. Like, I don't know, it's a, or maybe you should, if you look for, let me see, wait. I'm sorry, I kind of blanked back there, but wait 1 second. I will look for this thing with the underground rappers with RM and Suga. Yeah, if you just type RM and Suga interview, the first one that comes up is this interview. It's published by Smiling Seoul, Seoul as in the capital of South Korea, in YouTube, and it's very, very it makes you angry. But if you want to watch it, go watch it. So yeah, in that interview, they were told that they were taking the easy way going to the industry, and like not living up to the underground rapper standards or to the rapper standards in general, which in my opinion is completely fake, as pre-debut and just debut and some of the BTS lives were very hard, and they had to go through a very rough time to get where they are today. Like they did not gain popularity from one day to the other. Like they had to work their asses off to get where they are now. And it's not only hard from them to it was not only hard for them to succeed, as they came from a small company and had a lot of difficulties getting any media coverage, and they had to live in the bare minimum. Also, they were all talking about stuff that it's not very liked by some. Well, back then at least, it was not very liked by the, I don't know, Korean mainstream media, as they were criticizing parts that some people would like to ignore. Suga especially was very alone in his path. When he first told his parents he wanted to pursue a musical career, they did not support him. And he comes from a poor background, and so it was very hard for his parents to see him go into a path that was not guaranteeing him prosperous life. So he had to like pay for his expenses, and he had to sell his productions, and he got like stolen from and stuff, and had to live in very poor conditions. And even though his parents now support and respect him and are proud of his son, in the beginning it was hard for him. Okay. Yeah, after this small background, Min Yoongi is a rapper, a producer, a composer, a writer, just a genius, and he's a very, very, very ambitious person. And I saw the other day a comment that said, it's weird because he's the one that's sometimes seems the most afraid of becoming something he does not want to become because of fame and stuff, but at the same time, he's the most ambitious one. Which is pretty true, I think. He always strives for more accomplishments, more quality. Not only like being the best, but also being the best in the music industry, being the best Min Yoongi he can be, you know. He loves pushing himself to the best version of himself. Yeah, and now I wanted to talk about his mixtape, as it's probably back then, like when I first heard his mixtape, I was already Yoongi. Like Yoongi was already my bias, but it just reaffirmed my stance to the max. So the mixtape was released in the 15th of August 2016, and it has 10 songs, and in my opinion they are just incredible art pieces. The album has a very hardcore rap flow, and his underground background is very, very prominent. So I will go through the mixtape a bit of a review. So he released 2 MVs for the songs "Give It to Me" and "August D," which are like the more with Tony Montana. They are the more badass and like cool, and they talk about who he is as a K-pop rapper, and it's a kind of a slap on the face to the people who criticized him. After that, there's the skit, which features him and his brother talking about him in Bangtan and how the mixtape is going to be. It's very cute seeing them talk. The next 2 songs have both very simple beats, and they are called, the first one is 724148, and it's a very cool title, which while doing like researching for this episode, I came up with the explanation of the title, and it's actually 724 is the bus Suga used to ride from his home to and from his small music production job in Daegu, and 148 is the bus he used to ride from his training dorm in Abgujang. I butcher all of these Korean words. Where he lived in Seoul to and from school and work. So it talks about him choosing the music path while society was telling him not to, and getting into big hit, and I don't know what he had to go through. Then 140503 refers to the date May 3rd, 2014. And what's curious about this date is that nothing particularly significant happened. It's just a song that reflects the everyday thoughts that occupy August D's brain. Oh, by the way, I did not say his name. Like, his other stage name is August D. Like, he's Min Yoongi, Suga with BTS, and August D when he does his solo stuff. And August D is D. Like, if you go backwards, DT is D Town, so Daegu Town, where he's from, and then Suga, which, like, August without the T is Suga spelled backwards. So yeah, so the song 140503 talks about his social anxiety and the dark thoughts that sometimes occupied his head. And then the next song is one of my favorite songs ever, called The Last. And it's a song that made me love him even more. For a while, whenever I listened to it, I would always cry, as even without understanding Korean, you can completely feel what he's feeling, and it just gets me so much. It is an incredible raw song that opens up about his struggles with depression and anxiety. And I've dealt with anxiety for a while, and I like this song and the album in general, and a lot of BTS songs made me feel very accompanied. This song is so raw and real and, I don't know, meaningful. Read the lyrics if you ever feel like listening to the song. After that very sad raw song, Tony Montana comes up, which is probably my second favorite song of the album. It features Yankee. And okay, a brief introduction of the song. Tony Montana is the main character of Scarface, which is a movie. And Yoongi talks about how he relates to him when it comes to being ambitious and always wanting more success. He also talks about the enemies he has, who wanted him to fail. And the difference between August D and Tony Montana is that he does not want to be consumed by his greed and does not want to become a monster in the progress of getting successful, which is what ends up happening to Tony Montana. Okay, then it comes interlude, Dream Reality. It simply features a piano and some background producing and voices and him saying dream. And even though it's very simple and there is only one word in the lyrics, it's so beautiful to me. To me, it's so inspiring and so powerful, but that's just an opinion. Then finally, the last song, So Far Away. It features Suran, and she's a very good Korean singer whom Yoongi has worked with her, produced her song Wine, with which he won his first solo award for producing. I highly recommend her album Walking, if anyone is interested. She also has another album, but I love the album Walking. I highly recommend it. I also read from a Korean native that in this song, So Far Away, he uses at some parts very hard and wise language, which makes me think of him in a highly manner even more. It talks about following big dreams and also at the same time not having any dreams, which is just very scary. And I related to this song a lot, as it was very hard for me to know and decide what I wanted to do with my life. Like, I've never had like a huge dream, so I don't know, it's very meaningful to me. So this mixtape overall, and just his lyrics in other songs such as Tomorrow and Autumn Leaves, have helped me so much. As I said, I also have or suffer from anxiety, and in my culture, people don't talk about mental health, so it's easy to feel lonely, and people don't tend to understand how you feel. And even though I've gotten way better at dealing with anxiety, it's been a long process, and I'm still trying to get better. And his music and BTS music in general has helped me so much. The way the songs make you feel, I don't know, they resonate with me so much. And even though it's very cliche, whenever I feel sad or stressed or any feeling I don't want to be feeling, their music truly gets me in a better mood. And also about cliches, quick parenthesis, I find cliches very like you can use them. Like if they are cliches for a reason. Like if so many people use them and they have become a cliche, it means that they have been important for so many people. I don't know. If I find cliches very logical. Like, of course, they are cliches if many people feel the same way. Sorry, quick parenthesis. Okay, yeah, a sentence that also helped me a lot throughout my last years of high school. Don't be trapped in someone else's dreams, which it's from the song No, and I've had it written down or like somewhere in my wall for a long time. As it may be obvious for some people, but for me it wasn't. For a long time, I did not know what to do, and was also like I tended to follow what other people told me. Like, if you don't know what to do, just do what I tell you to do. So it like captured me in a way of thinking. Like I did not think. I don't know. It was very hard for me to come up with what I wanted to do and not what other people were telling me to do. And I finally found it, but it took me a long time. And that sentence was a reminder of stepping out of what other people expected of me and just live within my own standards and my own goals and things. Yeah. I know some people find loving a band this much like stupid or naive, and I won't blame them. Like, I know it's like naive to think, like, I don't think they are perfect humans or that they care about anyone or anything, but I just love what I've seen from them and what I feel like I know. And maybe it's not true, but I don't care. Like, it's like what I feel, and that's it. And if it's all a lie, then it's a beautiful lie. And even if they were not the people they seem to be, they have helped me so much, and so many other people go through rough times. And I know it's hard for others to understand this level of like dedication and admiration towards someone who doesn't even know you. But it's something that when you do feel it, it's very hard to explain. But at the same time, it's very true and very meaningful to your own experience. And I find them so humble and aware of the power they have in their hands to change things and how they can help. And I feel like they are trying their best to do that. Yeah, I'm very proud of them. And then now to finish this off with everyone thinking that I'm crazy, I have decided that I'll probably get a tattoo dedicated to something related to BTS. Probably not their faces or anything or BTS written on my body, but there's many songs and lyrics that resonate with me a lot. And even though they are not my sole reason to live, they have helped me through a lot and have been my support system at some points. And I will be forever thankful for them and for that. And literally, when I first recorded this, I was tearing up. Yeah, I just love them so much. Yeah, so this is it. This is the end of my BTS episodes. They got way longer than I expected, but I guess I had a lot more things to say than I thought. They are incredible, even if they only show us what they want us to see, as they are famous people, and that's what famous people have to do. I find them still very honest and morally precious, and they're doing great things to this world, and I will never be able to share how thankful I am for having found them and being born in the same time as them. If you want to get in touch with me, don't hesitate to message me on email, Instagram, or Twitter at thoughtsfromarooftop and thoughtsfromarooftop@gmail.com. Stay tuned and see you next week. Nora, out.